I'd like to talk to you about one of the most important body parts for a pianist. And I don't mean the fingers, I mean the wrist. The wrist can move in different ways. It can go back and forth like this. We call this rotation. And it can also move up and down like this. Notice how loose and flexible it is. And you've probably noticed pianists, when they're playing, you've probably noticed them make this motion. And you might think we're just showing off or being dramatic when we do this, but we're really not. That motion up and down serves two important functions. Number one, it makes you sound better, so it affects the sound. Number two, it reduces or eliminates tension. And too much tension plus the repetitive motion of practice can lead to injuries, and no one needs that, right? So how does this up-down motion of the wrist make you sound more beautiful? Well, first we have to just start with the way that a piano is built. The piano is a percussion instrument, and that means one thing hits against another thing to make a sound. So when I strike or hit a key, what happens on the inside is the hammer comes up from underneath, hits against the strings, and the strings vibrate at a certain pitch or frequency. And just like you wouldn't only use your fingers to play a drum, another percussion instrument, you'd use your whole arm. The same is true for the piano. You have to use the weight of your arm, and the wrist is the leader in this. So watch how I demonstrate that. The wrist lifts off the key to prepare, then you drop into the key with the weight of your arm, and then the wrist leads up and out of the keys. So the wrist is involved in the beginning and the end of the sound, which is very important for a musician. Watch as I do that again. I lift up and off the key, drop in, and then let the wrist lead me up and out. So what about the tension part? Watch what happens when I start on the key and I press down and my wrist doesn't move. Do you see the tension? It's much better to play like this and involve the wrist in that up-down motion. No more tension. So it's important to protect your wrist. For instance, when I'm in Pilates class, I always do a plank on my forearm rather than on my hands. And when it comes to push-ups, I just avoid them altogether. And so far, that's working really well for me. So, happy practicing.